All right. Um, good off week. Get rested up, healed up best we could. So excited to be back playing at Ford Stadium this Saturday um, against a winning team. Bill O'Brien. Shoot, what can you say about his coaching pedigree? Right, he's coached some of the best players in the NFL. He's been a head coach in the NFL. He's been a successful head coach in college. You can see already this year, kind of just his fingerprints on that program, just the way they play. They're tough. They play really good defense. They run the football well on offense. More of an old school NFL offensive approach, which you don't see as much anymore. So it's a challenge for people. And like I said, just does a really good job. I think he's going to build that into a really good program. So we got our work cut out for us, but we're happy to be at home and get another opportunity on Saturday.
Obviously, some changes from the team that you faced in the Fenway Bowl, but how much can you draw on that game and what happened in that game to prepare you for this week?
Not a bit. It's new teams. They've got a new team. I think they're better this year. We have a new team. I think we're better this year. They got a brand new coach. Yeah, some of the players are the same, and obviously we didn't like the outcome of that game. They beat us, but it's not going to have any bearing on Saturday.
What do you kind of, when you're coming off of a very complete performance that you had against Pitt, what are kind of the focuses in the bye week? What did you guys hope to
Yeah,
accomplish?
I think late in the season bye weeks are different than earlier in the season bye weeks. So you want to strike that balance. You want to stay sharp. You want to keep your momentum. We did play well our last game out, so you don't want to lose all that. At the same time, it's late in the year and we're beat up, we're banged up. We had some guys out. We have some guys that if we would have played last week, wouldn't have played. May have a chance to play this week. So all those things are positives. But we try to treat it. We got a mature team. We try to treat it with that kind of pro mindset of, we got our work done last week. We were able to work on us a little, get a head start. But more importantly, we're just trying to get to this week feeling better. Because, this last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, it's going to come down to depth. Everybody's beat up. Everybody's got guys out. Who's the next man up? The guys that are going that aren't 100%. Like, how fresh can they feel on Saturday to kind of lay it on the line? So it's going to come down to depth and toughness. So we did everything we could to get to this week and preferably Saturday feeling as good as we can and still try to stay crisp because, we did play well our last time out.
Kind of in that vein, when you have Matt Hibner come in with his major injury and
Yep.
taking more chances, and you saw what he could do with those chances, how important is that to continuing the success that you guys have had?
It's huge. Having Matt Hibner, it's a big deal. Credit to Coach Woods and our staff of going out and bringing depth in there. We should get Adam Moore back in the fold this week, which will help. Jake Bailey's been down. Wade Jr. obviously popped up. That's what we went out and tried to do. That's a good example. But even in the lines and other places, you're only as good as your depth. And guys are going to get banged up in football. And so having Matt has been big for our offense. Matt was playing good in a big part of what we were doing before RJ got hurt. But now we all see he can run a little bit, so that was good.
The latest version of the college football playoff rankings will come out tonight. And as of right now, SMU is one of the only teams in the country with 4 wins over Power 4 bowl eligible teams. What does that say about SMU, the strength of schedule that you guys have and how you've accomplished?
Yeah. Well, at least I think we're one of only 2 teams in the top 16 that have 4 wins against bowl eligible teams. I think we've got 6 Power 4 wins. I don't know if anybody else has more than that. So, look, I think we have a good resume. I think we've proven that we belong in the conversation. I'm not going to worry as much about us and that right now because we got to take care of business. If we don't win, nothing matters. We got 3 games right now, and if we don't win the next 3 games, then we don't really have an argument. But if we do, then I think we've earned the right to have an argument. I will say this. I do think on behalf of the ACC, I think it is interesting. Yeah, there's normal brand biases for teams. I'm not really going to get into that, but there's conference biases. And I think it's interesting that, you look at the ACC, we have a winning record against the Big Ten this year. We have a winning record against the Big 12 this year. We don't have a winning record against the SEC, but we have 4 games left, and if we win enough of those, we would have a winning record. So that's still up in the air. It's been competitive. And, so to look at our league and say, well, we may be a one-bid league, but you look at another league that we have a winning record against and say, oh, they're going to get 4 in. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It needs to make it make sense. When other leagues beat each other up internally, they're considered a deep, solid league. When we beat up internally, we're considered a weak league. You know, when Kentucky goes and beats Ole Miss, when Arkansas goes and beats Tennessee, when South Carolina goes and beats A&M, when Vandy beats Alabama, that's considered a deep league. When Georgia Tech beats Miami, right? When Louisville goes on the road and beats Clemson, when UVA goes on the road and beats Pitt, we're not considered a deep league. I think we're a pretty deep league. And so I just want our league to get the same respect that everyone else gets. And, you know, I think we have at least 2, probably 3 or 4 teams still that should be very well considered for the college football playoff in this league. And it shouldn't be any different than the Big 10 or the Big 12. Same thing, Big 12, if I'm them, I'm upset too. I'm like, hold on, we got an make it make sense. And when the data and the metrics say it should, I think that's the biggest thing. I think our league has earned the right to be in the conversation. It's insulting to say, oh, it's a one big league probably, maybe 2, yet we've got another league that the metrics don't add up any better. As a matter of fact, worse, and we're acting like they just got 4 and it's done. Make it make sense.
How do you overcome, it's things you can't control, right? The bias, the committee making these decisions. Like, do you all come together as a league in the off season and have discussions about what can be done to kind of overcome those?
Well, you'd like to think all you can do is win. We in our league, we're winning just like those other leagues are. So that should count for itself. We're winning against those other leagues. That should count for something. Look, the great thing about our sport is it's a human sport. In games, you got coaches, we make mistakes. You got players make mistakes. You got officials make mistakes. It's no different with a committee. They got a tough job. There's a lot of teams that should argue they should belong in. So I'm not discrediting anyone. But I think we're way too early in the process to start acting like, well, this league gets this and this league gets this, when some of these teams haven't even beat a ranked team or a team that's going to a bowl game, and yet they're just like gifted in. And so it's a challenge. And look, another year, there may be another league that's upset. At the end of the day, for SMU, we just got to win. I'm not going to gripe or politic for us. We got to win. If we don't win, we don't deserve to be in the conversation. If we do win, we do deserve to be in the conversation. But just as a whole with the league, I don't know what can be done. I think some of that stuff is predetermined a little bit. That's the bias we're talking about. And that's no disrespect to the other leagues. That's the problem. It's hard to stump or argue on behalf of your league without making it sound like you're being negative. I think the other leagues are great. I think we got 4 big-time leagues in college football. There needs to be, quality representation from all 4.
You kind of talk about maybe being tough to draw on that last game. Do you against BC? Do you feel like you can learn anything? Like, not necessarily the outcome, but do you think this is a measuring stick at all for you guys? I mean, at this point, been in the ACC.
Yeah, I think we've won 6 in a row in the Power Conference and 5 in the ACC. I mean, I think the measuring stick is late in the year. Does our depth, can it hold on and push us through? Can we find a way to win tough? I mean, all 3 of our opponents have winning records the last 3 weeks. The consistency of performance it takes to win week in, week out, and not have a letdown. We've seen it everywhere. Everyone in our league, everyone in the other leagues, like, you're going to have a bad week. It's really hard to get up every week. Our guys have done a good job of that. And we're going to have to do a good job of the next 3 weeks. I think that's the biggest measuring stick. Can we keep chasing our standard? Can we show up? Can we play physical SMU football? Can we play at a high level week in, week out as the stakes rise? More so than the who.
Heading into the season, we talked a little bit about how you all hit the transfer portal pretty hard for offensive, defensive line, and how that could help you. You've seen that. But for the players individually, you see some of the success stories, like Jonathan Jefferson didn't really get his shot
Yep.
at Georgia. What is that like for you as a coach to see those guys really living up to what you thought they could be?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Whether you're talking about Jonathan Jeffersons and Mike Lockhart's and, excuse me, you look on the offensive side, look what Brashard Smith's done, Matt Hibner we just talked about, Savion Byrd, and on and on and on. I mean, look, it's like everything else. There's good and bad to the transfer portal. That's one of the goods. Is sometimes people need a change of scenery. Sometimes after they've been somewhere a couple years, it doesn't even mean the place didn't want them. It's just, hey, get a fresh start. And so to see guys do something with a fresh start helps themselves. Obviously, it helps our team. That's the positives, and that's the stories you want to hear about in college football.
Any injury updates?
Okay, injury updates. I would say Jake Bailey is still going to be a game time decision this week. He made some progress last week. not as much this week, so I would say he's questionable day-to-day game time decision. Elijah Roberts, same thing, coming off his injury last week. We probably won't know till Friday, maybe Saturday morning even at warm-ups if he can go this week, but it is positive that we'll get him back if he can't go this week, and it's not ruled out that he can't go this week. Who else? Kobe Wilson should be back and good to go. A.J. Davis, which we got that scare. He was back at practice today. He's not cleared for contact yet, but still, that's just – you think about where we were a few weeks ago, that's really good stuff. So I would say he's questionable. I'm trying to think who else. Miyazono is still out this week. I think that covers everybody. Is there anybody y'all thinking of I'm missing? Romello is still not available. Nope.
From last year, how have you kind of seen on tape Castellanos, his development, and
Yeah, and I think a challenge this week, I think we got to prepare for both of them, just because he's been banged up. But, last year presented the same problems as he does this year in that he's just electric with the ball in his hands. And so much like Kevin's extended plays for us this year, you can have him dead to rights, you can cover everybody, have him sewn up, and then all of a sudden he squirts out and runs for 20 or extends the play and some guy gets open on a scramble drill. And so – or even the QB run game, like that stuff is still a challenge. I think what's changed is, again, I think they run a system that allows him to play quarterback a little better. His quarterback numbers are better. He's thrown quite a few touchdowns. I think he's like 17 touchdown passes, or maybe I'm got my weeks mixed up. But like he's done better, I think, throwing the football. So there's that challenge. And then you got Grayson James, who's from here, and all he did is when he got his one start, he won. Last week he had to come in the game when it was tight, led them on some scoring drives to win. So, and they're two different guys. And so, that creates a challenge too, preparing for two different guys. So, but Castellanos is one of the most electric players in our league with the ball in his hands.
do you think it's any benefit that you have a player like Kevin? Maybe the offense isn't the exact same between you two, but that there are some elements that you each excel at?
Yeah, I think hopefully it allows us to present the same problems for their defense that they could present for ours. We don't run Kevin like a running back as much, but still, yes. In terms of that, now in terms of like our defense, we never let Kevin go live in practice, so that didn't really help them any. But yeah.
Rhett, I apologize. It's 2 wrecks on 30.
Well, we're used to Billy Embody being late, but he's not even here today, so no problem.
So you might kind of address this a little bit, but obviously a lot of status change with Miami losing for this team, and I know you take care of what you take care of, but how do you think your team's prepared for being where they are right now, going to this final month of the season, leading the ACC?
They know. Shoot, they sit on their phone 24/7, so they know what's going on, and they know after what happened last week where we are on the standings today. But they also know that whether that happened or not, we have to win. And we haven't clinched anything, we haven't done anything. We got a lot of work to do with 3 weeks to go against 3 teams with winning records. And so I think they're handling it well. Like, I haven't noticed any different in our process yesterday, and what we do on a Monday, and then today's practice. Like, it seems like, we're going about our business like we have. And that's the challenge, is that consistency of performance. Can you keep the same process that's been working for you? Can you not get bored with that? Can you not let those outside distractions be a part of it? Can you not start getting excited about the what ifs? And can you stay present? Like, we don't even need to worry about Saturday. We need to worry about Tuesday. And that's really hard to do. That's hard for me to do as an adult. It's really hard for kids who play football, go to class, they're worried about their girlfriend or like whatever else they're going to do, and they're on that stuff all the time, and they're seeing the good and the bad. So I think they've handled it well. We're going to see, right? One of the things we talked about is we felt like we had a team that could compete. We wanted to prove we belong, and we wanted to see where we stood up. Like, how do we measure up? So far, we've measured up well, but we're not done. Like, job's not finished. I think probably the verdict is still out. Is the last 3 weeks? It's going to be the hardest 3 weeks because a lot's on the line. We're playing 3 good opponents. It's late in the year. You get tired, mental fatigue, physical fatigue. So I think we're in a good position, but we got to go prove it on Saturday that we're handling it well.
What did you do on your own Saturday? Did you watch much football? Did you check out? How did you?
You really want to know what I did on my off Saturday? So I got back in about 10 o'clock Friday night from recruiting, and I got up about 8, which was like awesome, sleeping in a little bit. And I instantly had to take my girls on a ride to the donut shop. Then I had to come back and I had to go on a bike ride with them. Not a lot of time to stop and recover. Then my wife took my boys somewhere. They're too old. They don't, I'm not cool. They don't want to hang out with me. Then I, believe it or not, I'm going to catch a lot for this. I took my girls to get their nails done because that's a big deal to them. My nails are good. Don't worry. Then I came back. I might have been watching the games on my phone a little bit, and then I would get in trouble for doing that, so I would stop. Got back in time to see the end of the noon games and the beginning of the other games, and then took my wife on a date. So that's what I did. I watched a little bit of football, but that's what I did.
It's not a bad Saturday.
No, it was not a bad Saturday. I know this. I wasn't worried about 3rd and 8, and it was nice to watch other people struggle, knowing that in 7 days it was going to be me again. So now I'm like 4 days away from that.
Anything else?
All good?
We're good.
Awesome. Thanks.
You started out a little bit.